You know someone who has sat through many, many runs that have been against the Sacramento Kings, and then he abandoned us. He abandoned us for the Athletic, and I miss him every single day. It's Jason Jones. Jason, my friend, it's so good to talk to you. Great to have you on the show. Thank you for being willing to come on. What a weird All-Star weekend, huh? You wrote an article about Saturday night and how it seemed to be a bit of a flop. It certainly felt that way watching from TV at home. And then Sunday was, I think, a smashing success for the NBA. Normally, it's the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, Saturday just felt like, oh my God, like, can this please end? It was hard. I mean, it felt like a continuation of last year's All-Star game where it was just kind of like, oh my God, how many other random stuff are they going to try to do to entertain us? And, I mean, to see that many empty seats, I'm like, and we had found something, people at work had found they were looking for seat fillers prior to the game. I'm like, y'all couldn't, I mean, there was no energy in there because there weren't enough people. And some people started to push back at me and say, well, that was early. I'm like, I was yawning during the skills competition. Mm-hmm. Like, there was no juice in that building. So it was just like, I don't know. It just felt real blah. I said maybe if you put the 3-point contest at the end, and then it ends that way with Dame winning, maybe that gives it a little different feel. I don't know, but it just felt, and people who watched it told me the same thing. It just kind of felt like it wasn't that big of a deal, even though on my Instagram post, Carmelo Anthony disagrees with me. Apparently, he said it was a great time, but yeah, I think also part of that is too. Sometimes those guys forget their experience is much different from everyone else's. So yeah, it just felt like, but I thought the way the games on Sunday played out was wonderful.
Jason Jones of The Athletic, kind enough to join us on the Matt and Kayla Show. Jason, and this is a All-Star weekend. It's known to be for the fans. And I think really some of the All-Star games all around in terms of professional leagues have gone away from that. But do you feel like the NBA in general is just become too corporate? It's really not about the fans.
It's real cool to say you have all these, these people who can drive engagement on social media at the game, and you can bring out celebrities to participate. I'm not against any of that, but I just think there's a natural energy that comes from having, people who, fans. It's like actual fans, not people who were there because, you see it at the Super Bowl and other big events where you have the corporations who have their group who comes to the game, and it's more like a tourist thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow, and I think it just reflects in the energy in the building. And I was at the Super Bowl, and it felt like a big game, but regular season games feel more energetic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it just, it's you can't really make up that energy. And I always feel like at least the very minimum, the Saturday events, part of it was Saturday afternoon, not Saturday night, which I think is the worst thing, but that should be a thing for. Let the kids in there for the dunk contest. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to give tickets to people, I'd rather see a bunch of kids who are going to remember that for a lifetime than a bunch of corporate people who either A, aren't in their seats, or B, are just sitting there. I think I even referenced it. Ludacris has the song Stand Up, and nobody was standing up. It's like, okay. I mean, there were like little jolts of energy here and there, but overall, it just kind of feels like, It just felt really like, okay, let's go ahead and get to the next thing.
Jason, I remember covering the All-Star game in Utah when both De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis made it. And the takeaway from that weekend, one, I agree with you completely. I was there for All-Star Saturday night, and that was the debut of Mac McClung. Like, that was his first dunk contest where nobody knew who he was, and he put on this show. And what he did was sensational and really, really fun. But there was many times over the course of that night where I was doing the exact same thing, yawning because it's a long day and a lot of buildup and a lot of stuff is happening, and you get to the actual event itself, and it was a letdown. But Jason, I remember at the University of Utah, that's on Friday is when they had the All-Star practice, or maybe it was Saturday. They had the All-Star practice where they let the common fan into the building to just watch these All-Stars practice together and just kind of fool around. And the energy was there. because there's a crowd of people that are that close to all these superstars who are not really doing anything. They play like a scrimmage game. It's like the same thing as like a preseason exhibition. But it was still like there's still the NBA fan, the basketball fan is there. Do you think the NBA can get back to and should get back to, hey, corporate sponsors and everything, you can have those suites. Those are yours. But we can't just be having the last row of the upper bowl be the price point to get some kid and their family into the gym where they're going to actually be able to experience these larger-than-life heroes. They're the ones that are buying the jerseys, Jason.
Yeah, that's going to be hard, though, because first off, those sponsors and everyone, they pay a ton of money.
Yeah.
So I don't think Adam Silver is going to be like, you know what? For these millions of dollars this company generates for us, let me make sure that guy and his kids can get in there. And, and you can say, let's save some tickets that are maybe more affordable. But the problem you've got now is that even when you have those tickets go to the secondary market and they get jacked up. And you've got people willing to pay those prices. I think for Saturday, the cheapest tickets I saw were about $200-$300 a seat to sit all the way at the top.
Jeez.
And I don't know how you get around it. I think one way you get around it is if you had, I think we were had to think like, what would you change? Until further notice, I'd make the 3-point contest last because that's the one event with names
Mm-hmm.
I said it's not fair, it's not fair to the guys in the dunk contest to look at them crazy because no one's heard of them. You've got a large crowd of people who have no idea who these people are in general, unless they're the stars. So, I'm not expecting, someone who doesn't really follow the NBA to know who Keaton Johnson is. Or they're not going to be like, wow, who's the guy from the Spurs? They're like, I don't know who that guy is. That's not De'Aaron Fox. That's not Wemby. So I think it's tough because I don't, obviously at the end of the day, the NBA is a business and they're going to make business decisions. But I just feel like, just overall that weekend is a long weekend for everyone there. You talk to the players and the coaches, and though they won't say it publicly, a lot of them by Saturday, they're ready to go home. They're tired.
Yeah.
All the commitments. And I remember when DeMarcus Cousins made his first one, I asked him what surprised him. He said, man, I was so busy. Like, you think it's going to be this big fun weekend the whole time. He's like, you got to go to this, you got to go to this, you got to go to this. And it's not that the guys want to come off as unappreciative, but they're tired. I think the NBA's tried to help by not having the first game after the break, like on Tuesday. Remember, it used to be like All-Star game was on Sunday, and then like they'd have to practice Monday night.
Yeah.
So they've tried to help, along that regard. But, yeah, I don't know I think some of it may just be the cities. Someone was saying, well, it was Valentine's Day in L.A. at 2 p.m. Who's really trying to go watch people they've never heard of dunk?
Mm-hmm.
And my pushback to that is that if they could afford to get in the building, they'd go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you go to a lot of the other events that were kind of around All-Star, there was excitement amongst the people in the LA area. But I think a lot of people just kind of felt like the ones I spoke to, they felt like the actual events just weren't made for the people there because they couldn't get in. And then I've even talked to some business owners. Another thing you could do is, highlight the local businesses and make it feel like it's for that community that it's in.
Right.
A lot of the events were like the game was in Inglewood. A lot of the events were not in Inglewood. Mm-hmm. So really, you only came to Inglewood for the game or that Saturday. Everything else was kind of going on around, and that's a tough deal. You know about LA traffic. No one's sitting that. Ubers were like $80-$90 to go 15 miles.
Ugh.
Just because there was just so much traffic and so much waiting. It's a lot. I'm hopeful that Phoenix kind of might be a little more compact, but even then, they're going to have events in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
So I just think that the setup is really grand, but it can just be tough because it can stretch you thin. And when you see some of those, the main thing I've heard comment wise from me is just the prices. You're charging money is to go to fan events. Somebody said it was like $50 per adult for one of the fan events and $25 for the kids.
Ugh.
So there's no there's no cheap way around it. And I think maybe you create like I don't know. Honestly, I'm just trying to spitball because I think there's got to be a way to make the game, the game more accessible. And also, I think there's got to be just more connection. I mean, I think in a lot of ways, people I've talked to are honestly just disinterested in the NBA at this point of the season.
Mm-hmm.
You see, when you hear, the biggest issue they got right now is that we know that a third of the teams aren't trying to win.
Yeah.
And it's obvious they're not trying to win. And that probably does more to hurt stuff like the All-Star game and the fans than anything else. It's hard. You got NBA's had a gambling scandal. They've had a Kawhi Leonard alleged, side contracts, circumventing the cap situation. You've got teams trading for former All-Star players and then sitting them in the fourth quarter with a lead. And then all of a sudden that guy, guess what? You're going to have surgery then. It's just crazy. So I think all that kind of just leads to also a certain level of apathy. And then you get to the All-Star weekend and you're like, these guys aren't even going to try. Mm-hmm. And even though that's not, that wasn't the case on Sunday, I just think the NBA has a lot more problems when it comes to its product than maybe it wants to admit because they'll say, well, look how much money we're making.
Jason Jones of The Athletic joining us. Jason, and speaking of Sunday's game, clearly we're seeing in the ratings that the game did a lot better from last year. I'm curious as to now the expectations to top that next year, if that can be done. And what was the vibe in there on Sunday compared to Saturday?
Yeah, I got out of town on Sunday because I thought the game was going to be terrible.
You're like, I'm out.
I had a couple of other assignments I was working on Sunday, so I got to kind of watch the game like everybody else.
Yeah.
But it just looked like the guys were engaged. Mm-hmm. And I think if you were in San Francisco last year, that might have been the worst one I'd ever seen. Mm-hmm. They just seemed like they just wanted to get the hell out of San Francisco. You had LeBron show up the day of, like, I'm not playing. I mean, it just felt, I felt just from watching last year, it felt like the guys wanted to play.
Yeah.
And I think on some level, they got tired of everyone telling them they just didn't care. And all it takes is one or two guys to set a tone. And I think Wemby did that. Mm-hmm. He said, I remember last year there was a clip of him in the locker room reading a book. And Jokic asked him, why are you reading a book? And he says, I read a book before every game I play. And he laughed at him like, this isn't a game. Like, what are you doing? But you just need a few guys like that who are willing. I don't think we're asking for Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
Sure.
We just don't want a half-baked version of a run at the Y. We just don't want it to be. I mean, at least pretend. I mean, when they were giving up 200 points and what is it that one year where Cat went for 50 something?
Yeah.
And they were down by 30. It's we just don't want to see that. You don't want to see that at all. But I think the format changed helped for this year. But I also feel like every 5 or 6 years we get one of these.
Yep.
And everyone goes, yeah, it's back. And then it kind of tails off again. I think before this year, the last time we got a game like this was after Kobe passed. And it was almost like people said back then, let's actually play hard and compete in honor of someone who always competed. And, I don't know what you can do next year. You can't really, use money as a motivator for some of these guys. I mean, you're making $60 million, it's all right, whatever, we win or lose, no big deal. But I think they might be on this at least for a couple of years. But my big concern is that the novelty wears off and then guys are kind of go back to, okay, it is what it is.
Jason Jones of The Athletic joining us. Jason wrote a great article on The Athletic that you can read right now just about All-Star Saturday night, and it was so good it got a reaction from Carmelo Anthony, so that's how you know.
Carmelo said it's all cap. I'm making it up. I'm like, okay. Somebody hit me and said, but we all have eyes.
Hey, Jason, you remember lame tweet? You remember lame tweet, Jason?
Yeah, lame Instagram post. Everybody's mad at me.
So, Jason, when Jason was covering Harry Giles, and Harry Giles was loved here in Sacramento for the brief time that he was here, he talked about Harry having a problem standing on the floor because he fouled too much.
Sure.
And so Jason pointed out on Twitter that, once again, Harry couldn't stay on the floor because he was fouling too much. And after the game, Harry responds to the tweet and says, lame tweet. And that was Jason's thing for like a season.
Right?
That was Jason.
Yeah, and then he kept going at me, so I was like, "You don't want to do this with me, Harry." And then the fans joined in.
Oh,
We
yeah.
hate you anyway because you're a Laker fan. We hate you. So I sent the Robert Horry gift. I said, "Leave me alone." I said, "Leave me alone."
You're not
And then
intimidating me.
And then he started. Then I had to we had to go to the locker room and had to have a talk with Harry. I'm like, Harry, there's no need for this. I said, I didn't attack you. I just said you had 3 fouls. And which you did. I mean, it wasn't like it was. There was nothing. And I also realized too at that point, Harry's about 20 years old, 21. He's got people in the organization hyping him up about how he's the next Chris Webber, but he can't get on the court. Mm-hmm. And I know that some of that had nothing to do with me, with his own frustration. We talked it out. We were cool after that, but yeah, that was fun. Yeah. So, but yeah, me and Harry, and Harry ended up being a Laker at one point. So, hey.
Well, there you go.
Well, let me tell you, Jason, the fans are right. You do suck. And I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm mad in particular.
Man?
What you did is you escaped. You got away. You covered all those years of bad basketball, all those years. And I'm sitting here in the worst season of them all, and you're not here with me. That's why I'm upset.
Actually, I ran into a bunch of Kings folks this weekend. They said, you realize, or some old Kings folks, they said, you realize almost all of us who got out of there are in a way better situation. And then I've talked to a couple of former players about it. They said, we're like our own little club. Like, we survived all that.
Well, look what De'Aaron Fox did. De'Aaron got a game winner and got a moment with LeBron. Like, what? Come on.
Yeah. I remember when I kind of got enough, I wasn't on the beat anymore. One of the players texted me and said, congratulations, you finally, because they were, to some of the players, I was the last one left.
Yeah.
They were like, we got to get you out of there. They're like, man, everyone's gone except you.
That's pretty funny.
so yeah, it's, and I feel for, people think I don't like the King. I'm like, no, I made so many friends in that, 12, whatever it was, a quarter of my life was spent with the Sacramento Kings. Mm-hmm. I made a lot of friends in that building, and I feel for those. I was happy for them in 2023. And then I show up to the game and they lost.
Yeah, thanks, bud.
So it was my fault. No one wanted to guard Steph, and they didn't put Davion on him. That's my fault. Yeah,
absolutely, it's your fault. It's your fault that Keon's in Cleveland too. We're just gonna blame.
Yeah. Because remember, we were trying to get Keon traded to the Lakers for like Gabe Vincent and like an extra pair of gym shoes because Laker fans, every trade's gonna work out for them.
Of course.
But unfortunately. And they ended up with Luka for like nothing.
Well, Jason, also, before we let you go, can you tell your baseball team, the Dodgers down there, to stop ruining baseball too while you're at it? Like, come on.
No. Tell the other teams to actually try.
Listen, my team won't even spend money, Jason. I'm trying.
Yeah. I forget which team is yours again?
The one that plays here in our backyard in West Sacramento.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm hoping they do not end up in Vegas. I really am because I can't imagine anything worse than summertime in July and someone debating, do I really want to go watch the A's play the Royals?
Well, they'll be watching.
And they're like, no, I'm going to a casino. It's a much better, But I love Oakland. I loved Oakland A's games. It was one of my favorite things about living in the Bay Area, and I miss being able to go to those. So, yeah, I'm not down with that ownership group at all.
Well, Jason, we miss you here in Sacramento, even though you're off to bigger and better things, doing great stuff.
I promise I'll come to a game this season. When I went to one last year, then they were up by, it was the Cleveland game. They were up by 20. I left and they blew the lead.
Hey,
so
let me tell you this. I'll give you the pass this year, Jason. You don't wanna. You don't wanna. Oh. You don't need to.
Okay, all right. I'll check him out on TV then.
Right. Well, we'll have you back on the show very soon, my friend. Keep up the great work. Get some rest after All-Star Weekend and enjoy the rest of the season. And we'll talk soon, Jason. Really appreciate you.
All right. You guys take care.
Thanks, Jason.
That is the great Jason Jones of The Athletic. Yes, Laker fan forever and Saturday. He would fight with every Kings fan possible.
I bet.
That Robert Horry gif of the shot.
Sure.
That is his bread and butter, and it works every time, and it works on me. I'm like, damn it, Jason. You're my friend, and I hate you.
You love to hate him.
You love to hate him, but he's such a good dude. We will take the break. When we come back, hey, Commissioner Adam Silver had a press conference on Saturday. And, well, I don't know if, what is the term, won the press conference? I don't think he won anything necessarily, right, Kayla, but there was some interesting stuff for us to react to. The show continues. Matt and Kayla, Sactown Sports.